Welcome back to Luxury on a Budget, where I have been sharing my tips and tricks for creating million-dollar spaces without the million-dollar price tag. We have taken a peek into two of my favorite budget-friendly home builders. I've shared my go-to home decor spots to find trendy decor on a budget. Today, we are closing out this series with a sit-down with my dear friend and interior designer, Dina with the Designer's Niche. So Dina,
yes,
tell us, how long has the Designer's Niche been in business?
we started in 2008.
Wow.
So we've been going a long time. Full-blown interior
long.
design, and then in 2014 we picked up a second section for home staging. So now we do both.
Love it. So how did the Designer's Niche come about? How did this concept, you were like, hey, I want to get into interior design?
It was a light switch. I basically, all my life was very artistic and didn't know what to do with it. And I tried a couple different avenues, went to college for some commercial art or thought I wanted to do something like that.
Commercial art. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, and I didn't even realize what it was, and I got into it. I hated it. So I left for a little while, left college for a little while and got a job. And then for a couple years there, I was doing pretty good, but I was unhappy because I was in the medical field. That is not what I need to be doing. So I went ahead and I was looking through some old papers one day, and I was kind of reminiscing on why am I unhappy? What am I supposed to be doing? Because I had a great job, but I was traveling Monday through Friday. So long story short, my husband had walked in on me going through these papers, and he saw I was actually crying. And at that moment, I realized I should have, as interior design popped into my head. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even really know what that was all about either, but I was like, maybe I should do that. And so I talked to him for a minute, and at the time he had a really strong business going, and he said, well, then resign and go to school. Mm-hmm. And in 2 weeks, I was gone.
Wow.
And I went to school. I got my bachelor's at the Art Institute. Graduated with honors in 2.5 years.
Of course, honors.
Yes. And then a lot of late nights to do that. And then after I graduated, I worked for one design company, and I worked there for about 10 months and decided I needed to do this on my own.
Yes.
So it just kind of happened.
Well, I don't think it kind of happened. I love the story of how you as a little Dina
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
interior designing your Barbies in your parents' house. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that was so fun.
Well, so one of my earliest memories, I always did the Barbie houses. The Barbies were always on the floor for sure. And I made furniture, anytime we would eat at one of those push pops, it would become an end table, or like fabric would become, a throw on a sofa or something. I had a friend growing up, and I was probably 7 or 8. She had a playhouse in her backyard. I thought that was the coolest thing. She always wanted to play house on the prairie and do stuff. And I was always organizing and decorating, and she had these little plastic flowers, and I would move them around, and I was always just redoing the interior. We'd make tree houses, and I wanted them to be cozy. Like, that was always in me. I want a space to be cozy. I'd rearrange my mom's furniture when she was at work. I would get in trouble every time I didn't stop. I mean, I would stop for a week or whatever, and then I'd try getting away with doing something small, and she'd still notice. But
oh, goodness.
So it was kind of in me my whole life to make a space feel balanced and cozy, and I can't explain it.
That's called God-given talent. I love that. And when you said that light bulb went off, to me, that was God telling you what your purpose is.
It was, because I wasn't getting it. So he literally, dropped it into my head, and I was like, ding, and that was it.
Now, I have personally had the pleasure of seeing you in clients' homes, and it's just so natural. It's so endearing. You are such a great listener, and all of my clients always say that, wow, she gets me and she understands, and how compassionate you are. And I think it's because you love pulling out their design.
Yes.
As well as also helping to highlight some things, or, giving a different spin to things. Because we can some of us can design, but we can't all design like you. So when you get a call, can you walk us through that first step? You get the call from an agent or somebody who referred them to you, and they say, hey, I just bought this new home.
Yes.
And I want it to look like a model. I want to walk into this space every time. I know I like to do that. I want to come home and my house
Have your sanctuary.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it needs to be. Everybody
I agree.
works all day, every day, their whole life away.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I start with the consult, and I mean, it's really important to me to pull out from a person how they're going to function in their home, what makes them feel cozy.
Yes.
Do they like certain colors or not? Do they like, do they like it light and airy? Do they like it moody? But function and I don't know. The conversation just kind of starts, and I pull out styles from them. If they're not sure, a lot of times I'll start showing them, well, do you like something curvy like this, or do you like straight? And people are more consistent than they know they are, because when they are clueless about what they think they like, when I start asking them questions, there becomes a little bit of a definition there. Even eclectic people have a style. And they think they don't, but they do. They are eclectic, and there's a way to do that, So yeah, we just start the conversation that way, and
Perfect.
And I do my best to get a round one design given to them, and they can look at that. And 9 times out of 10, we're pretty close, and then we can make adjustments based on how that feels for them.
I love that. And so, does most of your clients do a whole home interior design with you, or do they do first floor or just certain
It's all over the place.
Okay.
I've got several clients now that are doing their whole home. They've sold off everything, and they're starting fresh with an entire new look. I've got an out-of-towner that is doing that as well. But some people just want their bedroom and their living room, or they really, like, home offices have been really big the last couple of years.
Oh, yes.
Because
Oh, yes.
everyone's home office was thrown together in that
During
3
COVID.
month. Yeah, and so now I'm still seeing the leftovers of that, where people are still, hey, me and my husband both work from home and we're killing each other. Please help us, So I mean, I do anything. I don't try to push extra on somebody. It's just they know what they need. Usually they get addicted though, and they'll go a little further.
I know, because I think what's so addicting is something that you offer, which is, I don't know, do you call it a 3-dimension of when you do the design and you get to show them what the pieces that you would recommend looks like in that space? I think that that's so cool. Is it a 3D design, 3D rendering?
Well, I've got 3D renderings, and there's different programs to do that. The one that I use is best for remodels, but I can throw furniture in there, and spatially you can feel.
Yes.
And then I'll do like a presentation, as detailed as possible. I call it a dollhouse on paper.
I love it.
Because I like to decorate that paper, because usually I'm not the one doing all the final installs, because but I get to do all the decorating and deciding on paper, and that's my.
I think it's so genius, because when you have a space, you can really see how those pieces will really function in that space, especially when you have some awkward shaped spaces.
Yes.
Now, I know you deal a lot with couples. In some couples, some people have traditional, some people have a modern taste. How do you marry those two design concepts?
Well, I wish I had the actual answer to that. All I know is I tend to do a balance of the two. And if somebody's traditional, I don't go overly traditional. I do it soft enough so it feels traditional, but maybe it has a straight line in there to offset that for the modern.
Yes.
So I try to do a balance, and when we're verbally talking or talking about one piece, a couple will argue about it. But if they see a whole composition and the room feels modern to this person, but it has a few soft pieces and they're okay with that, and vice versa, it just works. So
Perfect. And I know
balance, I guess.
you deal with a ton of different design concepts. Like one, you just met with one of my amazing clients that I adore. And I think that they're a bit of modern, I would say.
Very,
modern.
yeah.
Yes. And I mean,
Or contemporary.
yes. And their design is beautiful. Their home is stunning.
It is.
But then you can take a transitional person and you can work with that. And I think that's one thing that I love about you is that it's not just your style.
No. I don't ever want to have somebody look at that and go, oh, I think the designer's niche did that, because it kind of puts you in an era, kind of. You know, all the designers on HGTV and stuff, they've got their look and they've got their show, and that's awesome for them. But then you can say, oh, that was Candace Olsen back in whatever year.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I want to just be able to make a home individual. Every single one of my designs is always different.
Perfect.
Never do them the same.
Now, if I call you and I say, oh my God, I saw this stunning Perry home in Cross Creek, and that designer hit it on the nail for me. I loved every piece, or I love what they did in that home. Can you help me create this inspiration? Where do you go from there?
Well,
Client.
we talk about all the elements that they love, and if it's everything, then I have to then talk about their budget, and then we allocate the budget. Model homes are expensive, but there's certain things that you want to spend money on for sure.
Yes.
And then other things can look expensive and not be expensive.
I love that you hit on what we need to spend money on. So can you dive a little bit into that, on what are the pieces you really need to focus on? Like, yes, I have a budget, but we really need to focus on a quality piece here.
Definitely upholstery. If you're going to be laying on it or sitting on it or eating off of it, it should be very durable. It should, your dining table should have some finish on it so it's not scratching off in 2 months or getting water stains. Your upholstery really, really needs to hold up. Rugs can come and go. Accent tables can come and go. All the rest of it really can. Or beds. You know, beds are very important for construction. But otherwise, unless you just want to pay $1 million for everything, I mean, there's always that option. But
no, we don't, because this is about designing on a budget. So we want our homes to feel and look like we spent $1 million.
Yes.
But we really don't want to break the bank on it
Right.
either.
And so if somebody wanted to mimic this, you know, sort of look, I would begin shopping and searching items that look similar, of course, and then kind of hone in on 2 or 3 options for each major piece. And then the color is what makes it feel like the model home. And, you know, bring in the paint. That's inexpensive, but it makes a big impact.
I agree.
The lighting, if you just change out island pendants or a chandelier somewhere, all of a sudden it starts feeling custom.
She has some great chandelier.
I'm a lighting junkie. Lighting and lamps is like, you can make or break your room with that stuff. And if you don't have them, you're breaking your room.
I agree. And I have to say, the lamps you picked out, they're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yes, in that space, the other space. So I love that. And I love what I'm hearing. So first is the consult. And then we talk about budget. Then I love to hear that you say, like, I will shop for you. So part of your services is not only would you sit down and discuss, you know, hey, this will be a great concept for your home, give the flow that you're desiring. However, you would actually go a step further and help shop for the pieces and also possibly install the pieces?
Yes. So I typically will not shop with a client at all. In the beginning of my business, I tried it a couple of times, but the problem is when I see a room design, when I first meet a house, I see it in shapes and balance and colors versus the actual pieces. So that's how it starts coming together. So when I shop with someone, they don't see what I see in my mind. So when they look at one piece, they can't ever make a decision. So it's very difficult. So I do prefer to shop for them and bring them a whole finished look.
Hey, trust me, leverage is important. So we love that.
Yeah.
Even though I would love to tell you what I like and dislike, the leverage of you being able, because I love what you said, you see it in your head and you see the functionality there. That's genius.
And it's just, you know, so many people aren't completely visual, so that just helps them along. And I always hear, I never would have picked that piece. And that's usually the piece that I got most excited about. You know, I'm like, ooh, this is the piece that makes it feel really unique, you know. So But yeah, so we go through that process, the proposal. They usually go very smoothly. I always come to the table with options for not only look, but for pricing.
Love that.
Because if you want a more expensive piece, they're great. But I've shopped two different for you. You can decide for yourself, you know, what you want to spend your money on. But then, yeah, the install, those are I live for those. On the one-day makeovers, which are the restyles, where we either rework somebody's items or we go shop and bring in some fillers for a room, or the whole design. I mean, from start to finish, like when I meet that client, I'm so excited to get to the end so I can see their face.
I know, because even though I know staging is different than interior design, but I've witnessed you loving that big reveal where you're like, oh guys, can y'all just scoot away because I want you to come back at this time, and you light up the second they're walking through the space with you to fill the space. So I love that.
That's my favorite part of it all, and I love it all. Like, I don't stop. Even when I'm not working on projects, I am online looking for me. I don't stop. I literally don't stop.
I love it. I love it. So if I might ask, budgets. What's a great low end budget? Even though I know every house is different because the size is different. You can design a 1,800 square foot home up until a 20,000 square foot home.
Well, if you compartmentalize it kind of per room, and you're starting from scratch, I think with a good mix of high and low, you should probably, because you have to think of shipping and taxes and all that. I mean, you should probably be nowhere under 7,000 to 8,000, and that's really stretching it. But it could get a room done. I mean, up to 15, 20 for a room.
Well, I will tell you, when you gave us a consult, we were pretty impressed with the price for, I think that was, and it was like 4 to 5 rooms. No, more than that.
Your dining, living, entry, master.
Kitchen and study. You even did a workup on the study, the office.
So it was 25 or something, I think.
It was a really good quote for that many pieces. I remember I was, when we were going over the quote, just from what we did in a previous house, Jason and I was like, all right, that's pretty much half of that budget. And to say that you can shop. So I was very impressed with that, considering the size of the home. And we were purchasing all new furniture, all new decor. Well, I really appreciate this time. Dina is one of my #1 stagers that I use. However, most of my clients always ask if she does interior designs because they want her there. So I would love for you to tell the audience, how can they get a hold of you, Dina?
All right. You can email Dina at thedesignersniche.com, and that's DINA at thedesignersniche. Don't forget the. Or you could call 832-640-6265.
She also has an Instagram handle that she's not sharing.
The Designer's Niche.
You have to go and check it out.
We do. I stay most active on there. Lately, we've been pretty busy, but we keep that pretty active.
I love it. And you have to go check out this cool West University home. This was not an interior design, but you staged it.
It looked
designed. It was gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. And the architecture really helps too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to kind of add to the
pizzazz.
Yes.
All right. Until next time, guys.